How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you the best way to start a fire while backpacking in the wintertime. So if you're at home and you're starting a fire, even in the wintertime, it's probably super easy. You might just use some gasoline, a fire starting log, even some kerosene, but while you're on the trail, you want to keep your pack as light as possible. So a lot of those ways tend not to be feasible. So today I'm going to show you how to start a fire with the resources in your immediate area. I already have them gathered up just to save time. We're going to start with small tinder and move progressively up to bigger logs, and then be able to cook on the fire eventually. A little tip for gathering wood in the wintertime is, unlike the summertime, you don't want to go into the ground and pick up wood because it's obviously going to be soaking wet and covered in snow. So you want to look for low-hanging branches that are dead. And a good way to tell if it's a good burning wood or not is flex it a little bit. See, this one's obviously flexing a lot, so that's not going to be good burning wood. The tree's still alive and well, it's not going to burn at all. You want to find sounds like this, that'll crack real easy in your hand and that you can tell is super dry. Okay? So that's going to be some good burning wood. So I got some gathered up already, again, just to save time. So I'm going to get going on setting this fire up. In my bag, in the wintertime especially, I always carry at least 3 pieces of cardboard. This is because you want to create a membrane in the pit I have dug out over here to separate the snow from the fire you're starting, because you want the snow and the ice to melt and dry away so it doesn't eventually put out your fire. And by the way, to make this pit, I just simply got in here, kicked some snow back and forth, got it as close to the ground as possible. In the wintertime, this will fully suffice because obviously the fire is not going to spread through the snow. There should be no fear of a wildfire. However, though, if you want to do this in the summertime, you want to make sure you dig down a little bit and surround it by rocks to protect the immediate area around and the rest of the forest. Also, you want to make sure where you're having your fire, you're allowed to have your fire, because there's many reservations and preserves, especially in New York State, that you're not allowed to have fires in attempts to protect the wildlife. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this cardboard and get the setup started. So I have 2 sheets here. I'm sure it's self-explanatory where you can get cardboard from. This is just an old Amazon box for my computer. So I'm going to set them down, and that's where we're going to set the base of our fire. So I'm going to go over here to some of the tinder, and I have a lot of it, and that's because, especially in the wintertime, you want to make sure your fire gets burning super, super hot so that you can eventually get burning to the bigger logs. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this and get the base set. Now you want to rip it up real tiny and fine. You want it to be light and airy so the oxygen can really get in there and get the fire flowing. Then you're going to set it up right on your cardboard. And this is a variety of different things I picked up off the low pours, just some dry grass, some dead plants that obviously can't live through the winter. So I'm really going to load this up. And again, you want it nice and light and airy. You don't want it too dense because you want a solid amount of oxygen to flow through, as that's one of the major components of a fire. Got some of this. And anything of the sort would do good. This stuff isn't as good as some of the dry grass because it's a little more dense, it holds a little more moisture. However, you gotta work with what you got around you. So, thankfully for us, we were right by a wetland, so we have plenty of dead cattails. Now they're a little moist right now, but they should dry out real quick, and these burn really hot, really fast. So those are really good to use. I'm gonna try to shake as much of the snow and moisture off as I possibly can and get them set up here. Got some of those in there. Now, along with your light, airy, super burnable stuff, you want to add some more denser things to hold flame. So I got some smaller logs. I'm going to break them up even smaller. And these are those nice dry sticks I was telling you about earlier in the video. Now you just want to make sure they're spread out kind of through your tinder, because those sticks are what's going to hold your flame. All this other brown stuff is going to burn up pretty quickly. But these little bit denser logs have more mass to them, so they're going to burn longer. You just want to make sure you have those spread out in there. And there's that nice dry cracking sound. That's what you want. I mean, even these logs are a little wet, but it's about as best as you're gonna get in February. So I'm just spreading them out. And you don't want to pack it down too much, but you definitely want to make sure there's enough in there. Nice tiny pieces, real catchable. Alright, so now we got some wood in there. I'm going to add a little more of the real light, airy stuff. Now, many people's habit is to try to start a fire with newspaper, old computer paper, and that'll work great if you're in your backyard. But again, you want to keep your weight down when you're hiking on the trail. And paper doesn't hold heat for that long. It burns up really quick. So in order to get a good fire off it, you need a textbook full of paper. So that's going to add an unreasonable amount of weight. So that's another reason to learn how to start it from the materials immediately available to you. So you got a little good base going here. All right, so now we're gonna set up a TP formation with bigger logs around. And that tinder is gonna make those start, and we're gonna have a long fire. So these are nice dry logs we found off a very dead tree. So I'm gonna set these back here so they're out of the snow. And I'm gonna set them up around the tinder pile we have going. Again, kind of looking like a teepee as best as you can. We're not going for show here, we're going for effectiveness. Just a nice amount of wood, bigger wood, surrounding the initial tinder pile. So now that we have it all set up, it's time to light it. To do so, I'd usually prefer the storm-proof matches, but we stopped at Walmart on the way and they're unfortunately out, so we got your standard kitchen matches. Not the best, but they probably get the job done, along with just your basic candlestick lighter. So I'm gonna see if I can get this guy going. You want to try to light the driest stuff possible over toward the edge. Now it's kind of hard because it is currently snowing out, but that's the benefit of matches. You can just throw a bunch of them right on there. And as you're doing this, you want to kind of simultaneously blow on the flames to make sure you have a sufficient amount of oxygen to get that flame burning real hot. So just some, wherever you can get them. That tinder's nice and dry still, which is fortunate for us. Just gonna get it burning here. You want to keep it nice and hot, as much heat in there as possible. Now as the flames burn, the tinder will obviously get drier and drier, and should be on our way to a good fire here. Again, these matches are not the best. Looks like they're burning out as soon as I throw them in most cases, but a couple of them stuck. Okay, so that should be good on the matches now. This side doesn't have as much flame as the other, so I'm going to add some oxygen, really get that burning nice and hot. And try to get that bigger wood to catch. Now the benefit of the cardboard is it gives a lot more oxygen than you breathing on it would, and you don't run out of breath. Oops. You want to keep that going nice and hot to get that wood to start. and you hear that crackling and sizzling. That's some of the wetter parts of the wood drying up. But since they're smaller sticks, that shouldn't take too long, and they should be dry by the time they go to burn. Keep a nice flow of oxygen. And now you can start adding the bigger stuff, you know, slowly but surely. You want to do it when you have a lot of tinder, so it's nice and hot and it dries out, because as you can see, it's currently snowing and our wood pile's already under a little bit more than it was earlier. So starting a fire isn't always the easiest in the winter, but absolutely doable, and it's definitely a good thing to know. Let's add it, keeping that teepee formation, keep a nice amount of oxygen going. There's actually a nice breeze, so that's helping a lot. You notice how it kind of started up quick. That's thanks to the breeze coming by, fueling the oxygen a little bit. But yeah, let's keep adding away, and eventually that cardboard will burn away, all the snow around it will melt, and it'll be your own little fire pit. Just keep that nice form, keep it nice and high so the oxygen can go in, and that's about how you do it. So that is the best way to start a fire while backpacking in the winter. Thank you.